All right, everyone, we've got some big news, some big stuff to cover today. And as you guys can see by the title of this post, Amazon Games and Smilegate RPG message from the team. So this is it. This is the post where they actually end up responding to a lot of the major issues that have been brought up by tons of people in the Lost Ark community over the last several days and weeks. They go over things like the Argos patch, the pacing of the game, and just a lot of other issues that have been brought up. So I wanted to go over this, but I noticed here after quickly skimming, and a lot of this stuff I'll actually be taking a look at myself for the first time. I didn't really read much about the details of this, but I saw that at the end they actually have some rewards and compensations. So I know that's going to be a big interest to a lot of people. Let's take a look at that first, and then we'll kind of go back up to the top and we'll see what the response from Amazon and Smilegate is to a lot of these major issues. So let's look at the rewards and compensation here towards the bottom. Conclusion complete with gifts. And as you can see, there is a list here of gifts that they are going to be giving us. A new animal skin selection chest, the Mokokon pet selection chest, Moko-Board mount selection chest, Lost Ark United structure, appearance change coupon, 132 Pheons. That's a very interesting number there as well. Over 100, wow. Menelix Tome times 5, which is experience for cards. Legendary card pack selection chest. Legendary card selector. What? That's crazy. Jukebox songs that will be provided when Jukebox content is released in the future, and it seems like they're giving a bit of an overview here as to what some of this stuff looks like. So that's pretty crazy. That's a lot of nice free stuff there. I must say, this definitely makes me even more interested to see what their response is going to be, given that they're giving us a lot of free stuff. It makes me feel like they really understand, if they're giving us this much free stuff, it feels like they must feel like they made a big mistake to give out this much free stuff here. So let's go and take a look at this and kind of see what the Amazon and Smilegate response is to a lot of this stuff. Heroes of Arkesia. We can't believe it's already been over a month since Lost Ark launched to our Western audience. Our teams at both Amazon Games and Smilegate RPG have been working tirelessly on stability, combating bots, preparing new content, and much more behind the scenes. We appreciate the support and patience we've seen from players around the world. And before diving into our team update, we'd like to thank the millions of heroes who have set foot in Arkesia and joined us for the start of this adventure. Speaking of adventure, at least in the international travel, this week we're joined by Smilegate RPG in our Seattle office for a fun and productive uniting of forces while we take a look at the content roadmap, improve operations and tools, and continue collaboration on all things related to the Western release of Lost Ark. Well, that to me seems like could be a coincidence, but they've got Smilegate actually there at the office. I would imagine that that's a sign that a lot of the stuff they're going to talk about is a pretty big deal. And there's definitely been a lot of concerns, a lot of streamers, YouTubers, content creators, and just people playing the game. You could tell that, especially after the release of the Argos patch, there's been a lot of unrest in the community over tons of different things. And the fact that they've got Smilegate in the office, that's a sign that they're ready to get down to business here. We thought this would be the perfect time to also partner on authoring an update to address concerns we've seen within the community, share our approach for releasing new content into Arkesia's Western shores, and spoiling a few upcoming surprises. Let's triport right into it. All right, a look behind the curtain, progression, Argos, content roadmap, and skins. Launching Lost Ark in the West has been a wonderful, humbling, and great learning experience for us at Amazon Games and Smilegate RPG. Our journey has been filled with late nights, creative problem solving, hopping into Western servers to play together, and now looking ahead at things to come. As we continue to learn from our players' feedback and dive into data, our goal is to remain as transparent, sometimes brutally so, with our players. To set the stage, we'd like to reiterate some thoughts on progression we'd shared earlier this month. In other regions, players had to stay in Tier 1 and Tier 2 for considerable duration, as Tier 3 had not yet been released. Thank goodness they did not. I know some people might disagree with this, but thank goodness they did not release the game with just Tier 1. Because if Shoeshire was the only content the game had, I think we'd see a much, much bigger decline in the player base of Lost Ark up to this point. In the Western release, Lost Ark was launched with Tier 1, 2, and 3 content. The intention is that T1 and 2 will be used as a road for players to understand many systems. See, this is what I've been telling people too, is that you can almost even think of it as Tier 1 and Tier 2 are kind of like the tutorial to the game in a sense. It's mostly to just help you understand a lot of how the game works. Encouraging players to explore the vast world of Arkesia and learn how intricate mechanics within battles play out. The first 2 tiers are designed as a mid-game prologue for the wealth of endgame Tier 3 content that Smilegate RPG has developed since their original launch. As Gold River, Lost Ark's game director, recommended you're progressing at your own speed and enjoying horizontal content such as exploration, collectibles, quests, and more alongside your vertical item progression, which is, it's funny how they mentioned that, because I actually just talked about this in a video from a couple of days ago, that once you get to like 1340, unless you're a hardcore player, it really opens up the possibility to look at a lot more horizontal content instead of focusing too much more on vertical content. So a lot of players are currently progressing through T1 and T2. Some of you are already on T3, ready to vanquish endgame challenges. Our goal has always been for players to progress at whatever pace they see fit. The Western version of Lost Ark launched with content and above at item level 1370, such as the Night Fox and Vilganos Guardians, world bosses, ghost ships, chaos dungeons, abyssal dungeons, hards modes, and Punica, particularly due to the player feedback received in our closed alpha and beta tests. Yeah, if they only released the game with Tier 1 and Shushire, it would have been, in my opinion, it would have been a much different, you would see much different results with how many people are still playing the game than we do today. With that important context, let's talk about Argos. This is a big one. The Argos patch was just kind of like, in my opinion, it felt kind of out of nowhere. I know that people had an idea that it would be about a month after release, but like it was still a big shock and a big surprise to a lot of people to just have it kind of come out like that. And it definitely felt a bit out of place. We've seen player concerns that releasing Argos before a significant portion of the player base had progressed through Tier 3 made Lost Ark feel pay to win. We never wanted players to feel rushed to their quest to hit 1370. We considered having Argos available at launch, but viewed the Abyss raids as an important stepping stone, helping bridge the gap to endgame activities that have yet to be released in the Western version of Lost Ark. We're looking at you Legion raids. Through that lens, we wanted to give Argos a spotlight and a special introduction into Arkesia. We made a mistake releasing the March game update too quickly after launch. Data we analyzed along Smilegate RPG from our previous launches projected that a larger portion of players would have reached the level required to challenge Argos. So as expected, they mentioned that they were looking at player data to predict or to determine what content to release in the future. And as expected, a lot of people were further behind than anticipated, which still, in a sense to me, it made it feel like they would delay Argos, but that didn't end up turning out to be the case. However, we overlooked certain variables such as players spending more time on horizontal content and the price of honing materials increasing due to bots and real money transactions. It's true. I noticed that after the ban wave, prices just tanked on a lot of stuff, including the exchange and the gold to Blue Crystal exchange. Also, prices went down there. These factors contributed to a scarcity of T3 honing materials. Together, our teams at Amazon Games and Smilegate are continuing to gather data on play patterns of the Western version to better inform our future content roadmap. We appreciate the patience and support we've seen from the community while we continue to learn together and work on updating our roadmap, and apologize for the confusion our early excitement has generated. After analyzing data and listening to player feedback across all our community channels, we believe that an update that helps adventurers progress with the content currently in game is more important than releasing new endgame content. I mean, I think it's fine. They just need to pace it a little bit. They need to just... People are getting the sense that if you wanted to access Argos at the point that it was released, like if you were free to play like on the actual day of release, it was very hard to justify that any free-to-play player could get there. It might be possible, don't get me wrong, but for the vast majority of people, it just felt like basically if you didn't pay to win, if you didn't spend money, you just weren't able to access that content on day one, which is never a good feeling. We'll expand on this below in the honing section. With that said, players should feel encouraged to progress at whatever pace they're most comfortable with. However, there's still a wealth of endgame content that needs to arrive in Arkesia. Endgame content will be introduced, but players should continue progressing at their own pace. Our goal is to provide fun content for players, even if it's at a higher level, while never making players feel pressured that they need to pay to progress, which is exactly how I think a lot of people felt. Flexibility has always been a driving force in the collaboration between our teams, as has ensuring that players are able to enjoy and play Lost Ark how they see fit. From adjustments to the monetization for the Western version, like making sure that aside from some account level features, everything can be earned in-game, to listening to player feedback on content timing, we'd like to remain flexible. Amazon Games and Smilegate RPG will continue to monitor, but feel that Legion Raids, the definitive Lost Ark raiding experience, should be released after players have acquired enough materials to be confident and ready for the complicated challenges awaiting them. Don't worry, more content is still coming. Horizontal content like new classes, islands, and the continent of South Fern will release as planned, which is going to be more materials as well, more access to honing materials. We will share a more comprehensive look into our current roadmap for April and May in the near future, after our week of in-studio collaboration is concluded and the plans have been finalized. Now that we've discussed our approach to progression and endgame content, let's move on to cosmetic skins and advanced classes. As we read the forums, watch streams and videos, check on Discord, and hop in game, we've seen feedback that players would like skins in advanced classes to be released at an accelerated rate. Really interesting. I think people are looking for very certain classes. I know that some people are hyped about Destroyer and Arcana. Some people are not as hyped. Let me know what you guys think about possible upcoming classes, but that's interesting. The two categories of content are entwined, which is one of the reasons that speeding up too quickly is tricky. Existing skins in the Korean version were released before some classes, required art and development time to rig models with skins for newer classes and the special weapons that accompany them. Still, we are releasing skins at a faster rate than we were originally in Korea, and we'll continue listening to player feedback about the tempo of their release. Similarly, classes will be released faster, and our goal is to catch up. As we release new content into the game, we want to add classes that complement the content. More classes will be available soon, and we'll share specifics in the upcoming roadmap that we're working on with Smilegate. I wonder if there's going to be a change in the order of classes, because with the so-called leaked roadmap, which it wasn't even really a leaked roadmap, it was just they released it early, and then they decided to take it back because they said they were going to change stuff about it. I wonder if they're going to change the order, and it's not going to be Destroyer and Arcana. All right, economy bots and honing materials. This has been a huge problem. It seems to have gotten a little bit better, but man, if you guys take a look at the in-game chat and you guys see all the spam, like it is absolutely awful. I don't keep my chat open unless it's like guild chat, party chat. A lot of the times I keep it closed because it's gotten completely absurd. Another area of player concern we've seen is around honing. We know that for every triumphant yell as a player succeeds at a low honing chance, there are other players frustrated with their attempts failing, leaving them without enough materials to try again. As players focus on their first character, we've seen that there's a lower number of alternate roster characters to help feed their main characters and the economy with high-level honing materials. A shortage of Tier 3 progression materials coupled with problems introduced by bots have made honing materials too expensive and a burden for players. To combat this, we'll be supplying more progression materials for players to earn through fun in-game activities, injecting more gold into the mid and end game, and continuing our hard stance against bot. Interesting. They haven't mentioned any... no mention of any honing rate increases yet. Now we'll see. Again, I haven't looked at this before recording the video, just kind of like the captions. I didn't really look into this in detail. So no mention of any honing rate increases yet. Bots have been a problem for us since launch. Even though we banned them as quickly as we could, they kept springing up. Thanks to the mass ban of bots around the timing of Argo's update and the removal of early game gold that attracted them in the first place, we've seen a steep decline in bot activity and bot farm gold that was used to inflate the prices of honing materials. We will continue to take a hard stance against the remaining bots to make them inefficient while ensuring active players can access gold to create a better experience for all. And this is just the problem they're always going to have to be dealing with. You know, this game, there's going to be bots, especially with the kind of market dynamic this game has. It's always going to be something they're dealing with. Injection of honing materials. In next week's update, we'll provide additional Grand Prix honing rewards, introduce a new casual event Guardian raid to supply players with more honing materials. So it looks like they're going to add even more rewards from the Grand Prix reward, which is kind of nice. It's already really good. It's a great event. And if they're going to make it even better, that's materials are definitely a problem. So anything that they can do, if they're not going to actually increase the honing rates, more materials is definitely a good thing. And kick off the first season of competitive proving grounds. Okay, so first season of PvP stuff is coming as well. PvP folks might be looking out for that. Event Guardian Raids. In this event, you can enjoy Guardian Raids in a more casual way. Relax play and get honing rewards similar to the Grand Prix. You can enter once a day per roster and earn event-specific coins to spend on rewards at a new vendor. This vendor can be found in major cities alongside the entrance to this new activity. In this event, Scale of Balance is applied to change the character's stats to match the Guardian level, and the difficulty is adjusted according to the number of participants in the raid. Players will be able to challenge Helgaia, Frost Helgaia, Lumerus, Urnil, Virtus, Chromium, Nacrocena, Dark Legros, Icy Legros, Calventus, and Levanos. This event will last for roughly a month, and players with an item level 250 or above will be able to participate. Nice. So more honing mats. This is going to be just another, kind of like the Grand Prix event, just another opportunity to kind of add to your daily checklist, probably get resources and make it easier for you to hone your gear. We'll reiterate the details of this event in the next week's update or the next week's notes, but are excited to spoil the surprise as players look to earn more honing materials. And we've got the last two things here because we already took a look at all the goodies and the compensation, I guess you could say. Arkesia Grand Prix adjustments. We're adding tailoring books and metallurgy books to the reward table. Ooh, that's interesting there. Well, I guess those prices are going to go down now that this is in the notes there. So if you guys are holding on to those, might be in for some rough news if you decide to sell them now. For the players to increase their honing rates, and we'll be increasing the number of event coins earned to help players get items easier than before. We hope these new rewards will help players as they look to progress to Tier 3 and beyond. PvP rewards. For players eagerly awaiting PvP action, Season 1 of Competitive Proving Grounds will release in next week's update. Players will be able to earn a variety of rewards, including access to weekly honing materials. We'll have a dedicated article announcing more details next week. We will continue to review player feedback and data around honing materials, rates, and price within the in-game economy, but are excited to provide more opportunities for players to gather materials starting this month. So that's everything because we already looked at this. What do you guys think about this? I definitely think that, especially considering that Smilegate is in office for a full week, I think they understand the gravity of the situation. And the only thing I'm a little surprised to see no mention of honing rate increases. So it might still end up being a while before we see that. But it seems like with the new Guardian event, increased stuff to the Grand Prix, it seems like there's going to be more access to materials, and it seems like they're going to slow certain stuff down in the future going forward. I think they acknowledge that the Argos was just too soon. I don't know what exactly happened to still have it release at the time that it did, because I felt like they are aware of the situation before they even released Argos. Maybe it was just kind of one of those things where there's so many gears in the system that it was just too late in the process to kind of really put it all to a halt. I really don't know. I don't know how Amazon, Smilegate, how all this worked, but this is a pretty long, comprehensive post, and it seems like they're aware of at least a lot of these issues going forward. But I'm interested in what you guys have to think here, because this is just me, in my opinion. And you know what everyone says about opinions. I'm not even going to say it on YouTube. But what is your guys' opinion on this? What do you all think? What do you think Amazon, Smilegate's response is to everything that's been going on? And what is your response? Anyway, that's going to be about it for the video, though. So if you guys enjoyed, consider leaving a quick like. Consider subscribing to the channel for more videos in the future. And feel free to check out the Twitch stream, twitch.tv/salt, where I'll be streaming Lost Ark as well as other games. Thanks again, everyone. Have fun playing Lost Ark. Take care. And until next time.